Hey everyone, this is going to be our second podcast for UMatter, and I am once again here with Brenna.
Hello.
So I know we said we were going to try and do one a week, but a couple weeks ago midterm week happened and some things on campus took place, and then spring break happened the week after, so we hope to be picking it back up as much as we can.
Yeah, things happen is what we're trying to say. So remember that if you're not always on top of everything, always, is that things happen and it's okay. But we're back.
Yeah,
so.
Excited to be back. And
Yep.
Looking forward to it. So our topic today is just going to be mainly about self-care. You know, like what does it look like and what are some things each one of us kind of do in order to improve our self-care and anything else.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to talk about this just to, as a lighter note, because self-care is really important, especially at this time of year when it's not quite summer yet, but all the breaks are over and we're just kind of trying to power through and it can get really hard. So self-care is always important, but it's extra important right now, in my opinion. I think so. So, yeah, what are some things, what's your like main self-care habits?
For me, I would say like number one priority is definitely sleep.
Yes.
I feel like that is just an overlooked one.
Oh my goodness, yes, I'm so glad you said that because I agree. I can tell just if I've gotten not enough sleep, I'm like a different person.
Yeah.
And everything I try to do is just like 50% of the quality that it could be if I had been well rested.
Yeah. I like do not believe in the whole pulling an all-nighter thing to study.
Nope.
I think it's completely just counterproductive.
No, because how much are you actually retaining if you're exhausted? Then it's just like, no, just take a nap, wake up earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know, cram in, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sleep thing is really important. I love sleep. I tend to be someone that struggles to get good sleep, so when I do, I'm like super thankful for it.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a big self-care thing that everybody should prioritize, just for your health and for your happiness.
What about you? What's like your biggest?
My biggest one, I mean, sleep is a big one for me too, but I also think that one of my biggest ones is exercising, because again, I can tell when I, have taken a few days off or whatever, I just like become more irritable and just like anxious and just like on edge. And so whenever I do get the chance to exercise, it just really calms me down a lot and brings me a lot of happiness. And I mean, there's science to prove that, that it really does help with depression and anxiety and all of that type of stuff. But yeah, I would say that's a big one for me just because it makes me really happy and it makes me feel good. So yeah, sleep and exercise. Are you serious?
Yeah, train, of course. I don't know how much the audio can pick up of it, but
probably quite a lot because that train is so loud. But
has its moments.
It does, yeah.
So some other things that like self-care, like it's different for everyone. I tend to not go to the gym as much as you may go, but
yeah, well, I mean, like, it is different for everyone. Now that's gonna pick it up a lot. Yeah, I mean, one person's self-care isn't gonna look the same as somebody else's, and so something that you may do, I may never do, you know, but it doesn't mean that we don't get equal benefits from different things,
Yeah, and one of the big things for me, when it comes to just wanting to do self-care is like I am a really huge fan of just movies and Hollywood film and everything.
Absolutely.
So if I'm having like a long stressful day where between work and internship and classes where I'm just constantly being around other people and just kind of feel overwhelmed, to me just kind of sitting down and just watching like just a 2-hour movie, doesn't matter what it is,
totally
to just kind of get into like this reality that this movie is placed and to kind of just set everything aside for a little bit.
It seriously is like an escape of reality. And when you put it that way, it's like, well, are you is it unhealthy to like get away from your own life? But I don't think it is. I think that movies were created for that reason, so people can kind of jump into a different world for a couple hours and just experience that. I think that's super cool, and I love movies too. A lot of times I get like restless and I'll like have to get up during a movie, but I love movies. I really do. I mean, I should, because I'm a media major, so I should probably enjoy movies. But yeah, no, I just like finding a really good show, I don't know, or a movie, it makes me really happy. So I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah. And I know for a lot of people, music plays a huge part in it. I have not been major on music, but I've seen like the effects for a lot of people and how it really helps them.
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, I think that's another thing that's proven. I'm like throwing out all these like, I'm not sure if this is a statistic, but I'm gonna say it anyway. No, but I really think that music is so important in a lot of people's lives. I know it is in mine. Like, I don't know where I would be without it. I spend so many hours a day listening to music. Like, if it's not in my ears, it's on my speaker at home. Like, basically any time that I can be listening to music, I will be. And I do really notice that it's like a motivation for me. It's like it uplifts me immediately. Like, if I am sitting in silence and I'm sad, I'll just like turn on some music and I instantly just feel a lot better. I think that it's like, it really connects people, and even if you know nothing about music, I don't really know anything about music, but I just know that it makes me super happy when I listen to it. Yeah. So yeah, I think that like, and that makes me think too, like, I take for granted the ability to just turn on a movie or turn on music whenever I want to. Yeah. Like, it used to be so much harder than that. Yeah. And now it's just like at my fingertips, and so that's really cool. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of just being able to like find that middle ground. Yeah. Between balance of life and then do those activities to let you escape just momentarily. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you don't want to be like, so that's kind of something we talk about in UMatter, is you don't want to be so consumed in self-care that you're not actually getting anything done, because then that is compromising your self-care, because then, you know, you're not getting things done that are important, which is going to make you more stressed in the long run. Yeah, like your grades might slip because you're not focusing as much as you should. Yeah. Your friendships and relationships and everything else. So like it's finding that balance. Yeah, it's all about balance, and a lot of things in life are just kind of about balance and moderation. But I think it's a really fine line, because, you know, if you don't do enough self-care, you're going to be overwhelmed, but if you do too much, you're going to fall behind. So it's like, you kind of have to find something that works for you. And you know, it's hard too, because you can't advise somebody on what their self-care ritual should look like. It's not easy. It's not. It's really not. Like, some people, you know, have totally, it's like, first of all, we all have different self-care rituals. Second of all, like, we all have different schedules and times and ways that we organize our lives, and just like our technique for getting things done. So you can't just tell someone like, you just need to set aside half an hour to do this, because maybe they need more, maybe they don't need that much, you know. But it's all just about figuring out what works for you, I think. Yeah. Some things that work for you won't work for me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I know that I'm a night person, and a lot of people aren't night people, but I am, and so I get a lot of my homework done at night, and that works for me. That works for my schedule. I work at night too, so then I can do it there. Like, so that's just kind of my like balance. And then I'll do self-care things during the day, like sometimes when I don't have as much energy, because then I'm just like, well, now it's fine to take the time to relax, because I know I'll have more energy to work on my stuff at night. It's just kind of like all about finding what works for you. And another important thing is just not being like ashamed of what works for you, or like thinking that you're not doing it right because you're not doing what everyone else is doing, you know? So like, if your self-care is I don't know, something that not many people enjoy, what would something like that be? For me, definitely video games, especially with like my friends back home. We will definitely, like, it's a lot of fun to always, after a stressful long day, just kind of jump on, play some games of Fortnite. Don't get me started on Fortnite. But I mean, like, so it's like a lot of, it's a lot of my hometown friends that, you know, we all grew up to each other, and like our bonds are really tight, and I feel like those bonds will be there for a lifetime, and like video games keep letting us come back and stay in each other's lives with, you know, all of us being in different parts and being busy doing our things. And
Definitely.
just having that like good group around you, I think, is a big deal for self-care.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
If you have such a lot of negative environment and negative people around you, it can really do a lot of harm to yourself.
It totally can. Yeah, I mean, you are a product of your environment. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And you know, sometimes people don't want to admit that. They're like, even if they are hanging out with people that are actually bringing negativity into their life or bringing them down,
because it could be someone they've known for so long.
Yeah, they're like, I'm obligated to be friends with this person because
we've known each other since we were 2.
Exactly.
Our families.
It's like an obligatory friendship, but then that's kind of where the self-care comes in. Is sometimes self-care is cutting off friendships, or just even distancing yourself, just taking a step back, or just taking time for yourself. That's definitely a huge self-care thing that I've learned, because, you know, I'm still such a pushover and I can't really just like cut people off, but at the same time, like, I have done that in the past couple years. Like, I've definitely had to do that, and I do find a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders, just knowing that I do have the ability to choose my own path and not be like brought down by others.
And it can be difficult for a lot of people, because a lot of people feel like it's a totally selfish thing to do, to just kind of push away or, you know, disconnect yourself from someone. But when they're causing so much like negativity and harm, like, I know it's difficult and rough to do. I think we both have done it in our lives, and it's not easy, but in the long run, like, it'll be better for yourself.
Exactly. And sometimes that's so hard to see at the moment, or, you know, actually say, okay, I'm just gonna move forward with my life. It's super hard to do, but I think it really is important to recognize when a relationship of some kind, a friendship, a family member, a boyfriend or girlfriend, is really like hindering your progress to grow as a person.
And it can be a family member. It's not
totally
just friends. And like,
no.
a lot of people will feel more hesitant because of like the whole social around of what a family is.
Exactly.
That they feel like they can't like just take that negativity out because of it.
Family, that's a big thing. I mean, people definitely feel obligated to maintain relationships, and like good ones and close ones with family members just because they're blood, or you know.
I feel like more so for friendships.
Definitely, for sure. So just kind of self-care is not just little habits throughout the day. It's also kind of the bigger picture, and recognizing what things in your life are working and what aren't working, and having the self-respect and like power to change those things.
And sometimes for the things that are not working, I feel like you don't have to fully just outcast it. You can like, maybe like look at it like, why is this not working, and what can I do in order to make it work? You can, you know, you can change. I like that saying that's you have to accept what you can't change, but then act on what you can change. So like, if there are things you can change, you know, like, just go out and change those things, because you know that you'll be happier. But if there are things that make you upset that are kind of inevitable, and that are just a part of your life, and you know that that's permanent and you can't change that, accepting those things is a big part of self-care as well. Because you know, if you fight against something that you can never change, then you're gonna feel constantly unhappy with yourself, and just like upset at the fact that like this is your life, you know. But as soon as you say like, okay, I have to work with this, but this is going really well in my life, or something like that, you know, and I can change this. And like, for example, you know, if you had some sort of disability or illness that was chronic, but you hated your job too, so that you were just not happy, you were never happy. So maybe, you know, you can't change the illness, but you can change your job. And I think that as soon as you're in an environment where you're thriving, and you are around people that you love, like, everything else in life starts to feel more manageable. Everything else just begins to click and roll. And
you feel okay with your struggles, because everything else isn't so bad, you know. So and
as you brought up, like, workplace too, like your jobs, your careers can obviously be horribly stressful, you know, when you have some higher ups that are unorganized maybe and causing a lot of stress in the environment. It can affect your other situations.
Yes, it absolutely can. I'm gonna second that.
Yeah, that's not a complete shot at our jobs at all. Not at all.
Definitely not.
But I feel like, you know, with everything going on, like we have, you know, approached the right people when it came to like our job. You know, when we have our meetings and everything, we do bring forward those things. Then I feel like self-care is being able to step up and be like, hey, this is not working. This is not going good. This needs to change.
For sure. It's speaking up for yourself.
Yeah.
And standing up for yourself and like recognizing when you're not being treated fairly, or if something's not working, just say like, hey, like, you don't have to be like aggressive about it, just be like, hey, you know. And people, more often than not, people are willing to work with you. Like you get scared to like say something when something's not working, but people are nicer than you expect a lot of times. And if they're not, well, then maybe that's a signal that you don't belong in that place anymore, you know. So it all works out.
And like you said, it's different for everyone when it comes to self-care. And it's just all about really just finding that middle ground.
Yeah, for sure. I know, like, I'm trying to think of some other things that I do.
And like it could be like super minor too. Maybe it's like getting a tasty Starbucks drink after that stressful midterm you just had.
Yeah, exactly. It's like little things throughout your day. It doesn't have to be...
Yeah, it's not like a massive thing. Like it can just be the small things.
Yeah, I definitely, I think that all the little things add up to be the bigger picture. So like if you're just doing really small things throughout your day to take care of yourself, then rather than feeling like you have to set aside some huge chunk of time that you don't have, like say you're really busy, you know, if you're super busy one week and you just don't have the time to sit down and watch a movie, well then maybe throughout your day you can just like listen to music between classes, or you can, you know, take the longer walk to class just so you can get a little more exercise or some fresh air.
I've like, found that like calling my mom sometimes in between those breaks is really beneficial.
Yeah, just calling someone, calling a friend, calling your mom. Like I always call my mom.
Yeah.
She's a caller to the point where she's probably like, why are you still calling? This is the 67th time today, Brenna. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, calling people always helps a ton, I feel like, because even when you're not in the mood to talk to somebody, like just starting a conversation always makes me feel better. And I know that. Like when I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone, if I'm like in a mood and then someone calls me and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll answer.
Yeah, especially like if it's a really close like friend, it's just like you just forget about everything that just was going on.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you answer the phone, you're like, oh, this is gonna be horrible. Like I'm so not in the mood to talk, and I just don't think I can like carry like a quality phone conversation right now. You pick up the phone and then
an hour and a half later you're still on the phone.
Yeah, you're still on the phone, you're laughing, like you're smiling. It's so yeah, I mean, calling someone, my sister even said that, her and I were just talking about, you know, kind of some ways to like what helps when you're feeling down or whatever, and she was saying like sometimes I'll just call like a good friend and I'll just talk about anything except for what's making me sad. And that's
like, let's not talk about school, let's not talk about finals.
Just get your mind, just like you can literally bring up anything. Like
talk about the new like makeup line that's coming out.
Just anything that you're like interested in, or like a world event or something, like it literally just erases
whatever you care about. Like, it doesn't matter.
I think that, you know, humans are social creatures by nature, and so it's natural that talking to people is going to make us feel better. So I think that's important to remember.
I feel like there is some like deep human instinct to like crave socialization.
There is, totally. And
some people maybe need it more than others. Some people maybe don't need as much, but on the surface level, socialization is really good.
It is, totally. And, you know, just being around people, even if like, the best thing is when you have a friend that understands you and they're like, hey, like if you're having a bad day, I'll literally just come sit with you. Like you don't have to talk to me, you don't have to talk about it, just like I'll come like give you company. And sometimes having like the warmth of somebody else just sitting in the same room as you is like all you need. And I think that it's also, I mean, as much as, you know, socialization is important and being around others, I think that recognizing when you need time away is also important. It's just as important, you know. If that's self-care too. If you're a people pleaser like I am, people are asking you to do stuff and you never say no, sometimes saying no is self-care because you just need a second to decompress.
I think that is something I've really like learned and gotten better with over like the last year or two or so,
saying
is
no.
being able to say no in those situations. It's like,
I have too, actually.
And it feels like really good because, you know, like sometimes I don't want to go out on like a Friday night. Maybe like I had a long busy week that like
I know.
I'm just gonna hang out, like, and I think we talk about a lot like socialization is good, but having alone time to yourself is just as valuable.
It is valuable.
It gives you a lot of time to kind of just reflect and look at like your personal life and just introspection and just what it feels like.
Yeah, it's just kind of a refresher. It just kind of like allows you to recharge and then like be ready for
just kind of see where things are at and like what's going on and what needs to happen.
Yeah, it just gives you time to think about stuff. But
like you said, like I know we're like flip-flopping between like two different things. We were like, socialization's really good, and then now we're just like being alone.
Antisocial. No, I'm just kidding.
but like we said earlier, like it's all about just being able to try and find that middle ground.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that's like the core point of this whole discussion is balance. And that's self-care. You know, it's really easy to go overboard.
In any of these levels that we've talked about.
But it's also easy to totally neglect it. So it is all about just finding what works for you.
And we're talking here like we're experts and 100% know what we're talking about. We really don't.
We don't. No.
And it's gonna be different. It's gonna be different for everyone. Like you said some things that work for you. I said some things that'll work for me. Like you're not much of a gamer, and you know I'm not much of a gym.
But that's what makes the world go round. You know. Just diversity, people. And
with self-care, it also could be, you know, about finding like these new passions that you never knew about before.
Trying something new. Like
it can be really rewarding.
It totally can. I think that that's something that I wish that's something I can work on, is like exploring new areas of life and like getting out of my comfort zone.
It can be overwhelming sometimes because there's so many branches you can go off of that you don't quite know where to begin.
Exactly.
But I think when you do, and if you start working on whatever it may be, I've known people who like get into woodworking. I know people who like write written word, spoken word, and all that. And just when you find it and you care about it, I think it can really help your character and make you really appreciate things.
For sure, I agree. But we would, you know, I love hearing about what other people do for self-care. Because it's, I mean, I'm open to new ideas too. Because sometimes I get sick of the same old things that I do. So, I mean, you know, if anyone wants to tell me what you do or comment or, you know, share with us what you guys like to do, then that'd be awesome. And self-care, there's millions of things. Like, it doesn't have to look like a certain, like, for example, in our Take Back Your Life presentation, we have a little slide that says like self-care can look like this, and it's 10 little pictures. But there's so many more than that, you know. It doesn't just have to be those 10 things. So
it's all about, as we said like 100 times, what works for you, and that is like a point that we just cannot emphasize enough.
Yeah, for sure.
You got anything else?
I think we mostly covered all the bases, but I could talk about self-care forever because I just think it's super important. But yeah, main point, balance, what works for you, and just
don't be shy to like try and look at different things from a different angle, different perspective.
Exactly.
You know, give yourself like a good support system around you of positivity. Sleep.
Get your sleep.
Just balance overall.
Yep.
So I guess we're coming towards the end of this one. This was our second podcast for UMatter. We hope to keep one going a week, and I feel like we're at a much better spot now
Yeah.
to do that until finals week comes around.
Definitely. Yes.
We hope to be able to open this up within the next couple of times to members within our organization, even people outside of it.
Yep.
So it's not just Brenna and I boring you guys to death every single time. So yeah, we are looking forward to next week when we get our next one going.
Yep. We will look forward to having you guys listen to our next one, and we're always open to suggestions for what we talk about as well. So if anybody wants to chime in and tell us a subject you want to hear about, just let us know. But thank you for tuning in today, and we will see you for our next podcast.
See you then.
Bye.